Good morning, everybody. I missed you so much. It's so good to see you. Hi, Demetria. Hey, Shayna. Hey, Dorit. God, it's been way too long. I am going to get started actually right away today because I know that this has been a lot of information. And so I'm just going to add people as they come. But I'm back from Antarctica. Very exciting. Took a little bit longer than expected. One of the things that they did not tell us about Antarctica that or at least I was not aware of before we came, is that you could get stuck there. And so we were actually the only fortunate ship in all of Antarctica. There were like six that was actually able to get out. There was a really big storm, unexpected, and it stayed 5 days. So there are people that are actually there till the 22nd and unable to get out. So they're literally just like sitting and floating around in Antarctica. So I'm like, I prepared for like a day, but not like 5 more days of me being out. So really lucky, got out, and we had to go on the Drake. So I'm still feeling like literally like the motion of a ship. Like it feels like my it was like 15-foot waves, like 50-mile-an-hour winds, like definitely like the harshest climate. That's totally fine, Demetria. But yeah, crazy times. So glad to be back. But and because of that, I wasn't able to get into Wi-Fi for a lot longer than we thought. So I literally just got access to Wi-Fi yesterday. So very unexpected, lots of things going on. So I haven't had time to listen to the full recording of what Sydney did. I'm about like 5 minutes in, but I wanted you guys to know that the questions you guys are asking are so much better. Like, I hope that you feel that your self concept is up leveling so much. Like, from the things that I was hearing, I literally just heard like Deb's questions about like, should we use MailChimp? Should we do this? Should we do that? And I think a lot of things that happen when you start a business is you don't even know what questions to ask. You're like, I don't even know the pieces of the business that even should and could exist, let alone having the like bearings of like, oh, and now I've got clients and now I've got these kind of things. So I'm really, really proud of you guys because you guys are actually asking really wonderful questions that are now, instead of like, I just don't know how to get clients. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know what to do in my business. You're like, okay, I know what to do. Now I'm going to ask, how do I do an email list? How do I do a mail? Oh, thanks. How do I do MailChimp? How do I do these kind of things? And so it's like those questions are the questions I want you to be asking. And I think a lot of us are from an environment where we're told it's not good to ask the how. And I think there is a part of that. I don't want you to be stuck in the I don't know, but I do want you to get the information you know so you can ask better questions. And that's a lot of what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to rewatch her session. Jackson is back. If you guys could hear, I think that someone's delivering something. But what we want to do is we want to get a chance for people to be asking better questions, which means that we're going to be having a lot more information today. So you guys are going to have questions. I want you to know that. And you're going to get really good questions. But there's a lot of information today that I want to give to you before we have the launching period in January so that you can be prepared. And then we'll ask more questions in the group. So, and I will answer as many questions as I can, but this is going to be a lot today. Just like last week, I'm sure was a lot as well. And so just breathe through it. I promise once all you need to do is just grab a couple of pieces of information. So I just want you to be like, okay, I'm focusing today on how to do a webinar. And I want to be just thinking about a webinar that I do. And it's not going to be perfect the first time I do a webinar. It's going to be, we're going to go through a lot of learning with it, but I'm willing to just kind of show up, write all my questions down, and get it going. You guys ready? Let's do this. I'm so excited for you guys to learn this because I think I literally like, I just kept adding more and more information to it. And I think it's going to be really helpful. And so I have on here a warning. I'm about to do what I'm telling you not to do. In a typical webinar, this is not a typical webinar, you're in a group where you're supported in a very different way. But within a webinar, you do not want to fire hose your clients with information. They will be very overwhelmed and very confused and not know where to begin. That is what I'm doing because you are in a container where you're with me for 5 months. People on a webinar are with you for an hour. So you don't want to be giving them a ton of information and no way to support them. But that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be giving you a ton of information, but I'm going to be supporting you. So here are the things that we're going to be talking about today. Actually, Carrie gave me this idea. She had this beautiful way that she broke down concepts when we talked about her core pillars. And she had her large pillars up top, and then she separated it into smaller ideas. So that's what we're going to be creating today. Sorry, I also brought back a little cold, not COVID, thank God. I'm a cold from Antarctica. So bear with me as we have coughing and nose running and all those fun things. So we're going to talk about how to separate your concepts into smaller ideas that you can use for marketing. Then you guys are going to choose a webinar topic and date today. Exciting stuff. So I'm really excited for you guys. I'm going to give you time to do marketing next week, and then we're going to talk about copy the week afterwards. But I want you to be ready. You're going to be selling something. And I know a lot of the comments, Amber, I'm so glad that you brought up the fact that like outreach felt like funky. Like that's the goal. It's to feel funky at first. But now, Dorit, you mentioned not having a freebie. You were talking about like, I'm not sure what I'm even talking to these people about. The webinar is what you're going to be talking about for the next month. Okay. So that is going to give you an outlet so you don't feel as awkward. And then the freebie, I know that Deb was mentioning, and that is going to be related to your Facebook group once the webinar is finished. So you're going to go through launching phases. We're going to do a webinar, sell really hard, and then you're going to be talking more in your Facebook group, and then webinar, and then Facebook group. So that's how the cycles are going to go through. You're also going to make an outline. Well, you're going to learn what a webinar outline will look like. Today, you are not going to write an entire webinar and do all that. That's why I'm saying it's a lot of information. We're going to have to take a little bit of time outside of here to write the webinar, but I have a ton of webinar systems for you to go through, and I'm going to give them all to you today. And then we're going to talk about how to go through giving value to a consult. So that's what our goal is when we do webinars. You're going to be going through learning, and then you're going to go to a consult. And then we're going to talk about how to lead into a launch and what to keep in mind for marketing before next week's session. So lead generation is extended. And this is something I actually talked with Demetria about because she mentioned that she wanted to do in the coaching that I gave 2 weeks ago. She was talking about how she wanted to do the free coaching for, I think, 3 sessions. And so this is how you're going to be breaking the ice. This is, I'm, again, so glad, Shayna, like you were talking about like how you were like feeling funky talking to people. This is how you do it. So I want you to start talking about what you're going to be doing for your webinar, and you're going to start doing polls either in your Facebook group, in your Instagram, or both. And then you're going to start messaging people in your outreach tracker about it now. So the reason I had you build that outreach tracker in the past 2 weeks is those are the people that it's just that first introduction to you, like talking to you, just like getting to know you. And then this is where we're going to do a formal invite, not to your program, but to a webinar to see if they get more interest. This is why it's a process. Like it could take people like 6 months to start working with you. So we want to take time and we want to build those relationships and be like, hey, I was wondering if you wanted to know about your word of the year. It's like this thing that I do. It's something that I think has been really helpful and can help motivate you. Things like that. As I'm doing this webinar on January blank, and I feel like it's good, but I feel like it might be missing something. And I wanted to know your feedback. What kind of things are you looking for to accomplish your goals? And is there anything I can do to help you in that webinar? Someone mentioned, I forget who it was, potentially Sarah, I think talked about pain points. And that's a common term, and you might hear it more if that's in that marketing book that Sydney recommended. But a lot of people start conversations based around pain points. They want to find out why someone's hurting and how your product could help them. So again, finding the problem and then giving your solution. I think that is helpful, but if you guys haven't noticed, I'm kind of a positive lady. And instead of doing something that is painful for somebody, I like to find goals. I'm like, what are your goals instead? How can we use this in a positive light? That's their problem. And then you talk about how to solve that as you go on. So that is the goal of these outreach conversations. The goal is to find their goals. What are their goals? What are their aspirations? What are they looking for? And how can you help them for free first? And then it's super casual. And then also you're going to get a bunch of content ideas. If they're like, okay, I've been trying to lose weight and I feel like I've been doing the same protocol, but I don't know what else to do to start this year strong. Like, I don't know what to start the year off strong. And that's how you're going to be able to see those ideas. And then in the future months, when you're not doing webinars, be like, I'm doing a mini training on this. I'm doing a mini training on that. I like to do mini trainings weekly. You do not have to do them weekly. You can do them monthly in your Facebook group. But like something like that can help you accomplish them. Carrie, I see your hand. Is it a quick one? Oh,
Yeah,
no.
just about outreach and like webinars. Where do you, and maybe if you're going to get to this, just I'll wait.
Yeah.
But when you're like, I formulated an email for outreach, like talking about my program.
Yeah.
But like, when do you do the outreach, like pay for my services? And when do you do the outreach to like take these free services? You know what I mean? And how do you
Yeah.
not like step on your own toes, you know?
Yes, I would say that's a great question. I think it's one that a lot of people have. I would say lean on the option of more free. This is my opinion. Because what happens is when you talk to more people about like the free stuff, people will just be coming to you like, oh my God, yes, I want that. And that's what the email to broad to everybody is like, work with me. Like I believe all of you guys are on my email list. So every email list I have, it goes out and it says, by the way, join Six Figure Systems. It's my coaching program. I'll teach you these things. That's what you want going to everybody. But there are very few people in your audience that are ready to buy right now.
Right.
So we don't want to scare anybody away and being like, hey, pay me. They want to get to know you. They want to get to know your style a little bit. And that's where the free things come in, like the webinars and the freebies, in my opinion. And again, everyone can feel free to do whatever you want. But what I found is that like when I talk to people about the webinars, when I find out what their goals are, what I found is that like, I'm like, oh my God, I could totally help you with that. And I just start giving them value ahead of time. Not too much, nothing that's like crazy, but being like, okay, like, yeah, like, for you, I'm trying to think of an example. Like if someone comes to you and they're like, oh my God, I'm really struggling to clean out my closet, and be like, oh my God, I did this reel. Okay. So sometimes it might not, the appearance of your closet might not even be the issue. It might literally just be that the hangers aren't in line. Like I know it sounds
Right.
crazy, but here, let me send you this reel I did about hangers, and that might even help. They'll be like,
Okay.
oh, cool. And then they'll start seeing more of your stuff and implanting the idea like, oh, but I could also get it really organized. It's like, well, how do you and then they'll prompt them to ask the question, how do you organize it? Like if it looks, now it's aesthetic, but it's not really organized. It's like, okay, well, I take my clients through like 4 different steps where the first step I figure out what their goals are. The second step I actually come in, I don't know if you knew this, but I go into your closet and I will help you clean out every single thing. And I actually take those things away. So you don't even need to worry about like getting rid of those things, but like I do that for you. And then I do that. But that's what I do for my clients. I'll be like, oh my God, are you serious? You do all of that? And then you're like, yeah. I was like, hey, let me know if you ever want that. I would love to work with you. No pressure, but like, and not, don't say no pressure, but like, I've been told to say, actually, Dorit Jess Cannett told me, she was like, don't say no pressure because it implies that there's pressure. And I was like, oh, well, I say that all the time. So I'm like, yeah, I was like, feel free to like, I would love to work with you. I think it'd be so much fun. Do you want to do that? Do you see how casual that is? Do you see how it's not like, hi, I want to tell you about my 5-step program where I do these things and it'll make your whole life better. Would you like that? Like, you know, it's like, because they're like, it's like, and we've all had that experience, I'm sure, on social media where people like start really hard selling and you don't even know if someone really wants it. Like, and then they don't know how, if you're like actually capable of helping them. But in that also they'll start seeing your before and afters, they'll start seeing your testimonials as well, they'll start seeing all those things coming in and they'll be like, oh my God, I totally want to work with Carrie. That's a good question. I would err on the side of free and building relationships for as long as possible.
Okay.
And then there'll be things that happen. Like a lot of you guys just kind of heard about me and then you signed up and it was like, oh, great. It's like, that was awesome. But you and I have had a relationship for like the past 6 months before you decided to work with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, sometimes it takes a while. Other people are going to be like, hell yes, I'm in right away. So I would err on the take a while and then just be pleasantly surprised if people want to work with you right away.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Of course. So back to webinars and delivering free topics, because this is an issue that I've seen. Actually, I've been following it's so fun to go on social media now because literally all I see is your feeds. Because I've been following you guys so closely that's all I pretty much see. And I have seen you guys doing an incredible job of teaching topics. It is insanely clear that you guys are all experts in what you do. Like, it's just abundantly clear that you guys are killing it. And one of the things that I've realized is that something that I did when I first started is I gave away a lot of information at once. So I think I did like a whole post. One of my first posts was teaching people the entire model. The whole model, the thing that we spent an entire session on, and I also met with you one-on-one and checked your work on. I spent one post, just a post, talking about the entire model. And it was too much. People were very overwhelmed. And I think people were excited. They were like, but it was more so in the confusion kind of thing. They were like, that's very detailed. And now I feel like I know how to change my life, but I also don't. And the thing, when you teach too much, I think that we do that because we think it's going to attract people, but it actually pushes people away. Like, have you guys ever been listening to a podcast and you're like, this is too long, it's too much? I don't know. Like, I'm gonna, and it's good stuff, but like there are some podcasts where I'm like, I have to listen to this like 5 times over and I don't have time to listen to this 5 times over. If you guys end up doing things like podcasts, Demetria, you have a podcast, I know. So it's like, I don't think anyone else has a podcast, but like, this is something I did with my podcast. I was like, what can I teach people in 10 minutes that would be helpful for them? One simple thing. And that's what we're going to get clear on. So the reason why you do that is because you're feeling really, first off, I got so excited. Like, I was like, I want to tell you everything I've ever learned about coaching. Let me talk to you about Monday Hour One. Let me talk to you about like how to do everything that I ever would do with a client in coaching, because it was just so much fun for me. But what happened is I also felt this need to overcompensate and prove myself. And I was kind of like, oh my God, I just want to show people that I'm a good coach and that they can trust me. But the problem is that was coming from a place of scarcity and a lot of negativity. And not negativity, but like I didn't think that people would believe in me. So it's kind of like, here's all this, believe in me, I can help you. And it was just not it was repelling them instead of attracting them. And then here's another thing that I believe at this point in my business, my coach, Stacy, who I've talked with you guys about at length, has a what is it? It's like a thing in her program where you can't work with another coach because she thinks it dilutes your ability to understand information. For me, and I posted about this in the group, I'm like, I think that at this stage in your business, you can get as much information from anyone as possible. Seriously, like, if you want to sign up for programs, read the books, do the things, I only think it can help you. I'm already giving you a lot of things and I don't want to overwhelm you anymore. But she had a free training that I mentioned that was all about demand and believing that you guys are in demand. And I know I see Deb might have signed up for it, and there were some of you that might have had a chance to sign up for it. I know I sent that to you guys 4 days in, but like, listen to all the podcasts, like do all the things. Like, I don't think there's anything that could hurt you at this point in your business. And I want you guys to believe that right now, there are 100 people that need and want your business right now. And if you can't get to that place right now, that's okay. But I want you to just start imagining that like there are people that are out the door waiting for your programs. I know every single one of your programs is phenomenal. And I hope your ears are ringing because I'm talking with like my friends about, I'm like, oh my God, like, let me tell you about like my friend's program. Like, I think you'd be a great fit for this and this would be awesome for you. And all these different things, like, people want what you have to offer. We have literally just been together for like a month and a half. And so it's just going to keep getting better and better. So I want you to keep believing that you're doing this from a place of demand. Now, the reason why it's so important for you to know how to teach a topic, and something that I haven't seen as much of in the life coaching industry, is that you want to build credibility over time. It's not going to be a one post and people trust you kind of deal, but you do want to show your audience like you kind of know what we're talking about. Like, oh, I definitely know how to do breath work. Or it's like, I know the benefits of breath work now. Oh, I know that when I work with this coach, she is going to be able to teach me how to manage my calendar and things like that. You also want to give value ahead of time. I remember when I signed up for certification for the life coach school, I had listened to all 400 at the time podcasts that the person who, Brooke Castillo, who runs the life coach school, had given. And I had changed my life based on just the podcast. I was delighted to pay her $21,000. I was like, even if I don't learn anything in this certification, everything I've just learned from the podcast has made my life significantly better. And I'm like so happy to pay her for something, you know? And it's like, how cool is it to give them that for free? And I know that we talked a lot about that you guys were like, man, I like wish I could help people like that are in like certain situations. I'm thinking a student who I used to teach, his mom, Amy, followed me so closely. She was like the sweetest lady ever. We ended up like giving her a mattress and like some furniture because they were like in a really rough situation. And I know she can't afford coaching with me. But I was like, Amy, I want to give you everything I can. I hope this changes your life, whether or not we work together or not. It's just going to help so many more people ahead of time, which is just an exciting thing. And the point in doing a webinar now and learning how to give a presentation is to expand your reach. Yes, you've got an awesome current audience. We're going to warm them up with this. That's what our goal is. We're going to get them warmer. We're going to be like, oh, it's like, this would be really cool to maybe work with Deb or maybe work with Demetria, you know, like that would be kind of neat. But we want to make sure that you are getting a chance to bring in all of these people that maybe you wouldn't have a chance to talk with. And thinking of you, Carrie, as well, like if you could do like presentations like for boutiques in the area, like, oh, it's like, I'm going to do a quick style guide and like, here's how you can get like your 5 pieces for fall or like something like that, like set yourself up for spring, like something like that. And one of the things that I heard that is an awesome, like just finding places like that gym, the coffee shop, like things like that to like do, maybe not the coffee shop, but like places that you can do presentations and pitching yourself to them. Be like, hey, I could teach this to your people. Would you want me to teach this to your people? It might be kind of fun. And there's this analogy that every person that you know, that every person that you talk to knows the amount of people of a whole wedding party. So like, and I'm gonna throw a big wedding. Y'all are invited already, by the way. So fun facts. But when I eventually get married, what you want to think about is like, I'm gonna have like probably 300 people at least at my wedding. And I want you to think about how awesome it is that like every single person that you talk to knows that amount of people. So maybe it isn't the person that you talk to at the in a store that like knows somebody, but it's like they know somebody who might know somebody else and they start talking about you. That's how you want to think about teaching topics. So within your pillars, what you want to think about your pillars is you want to think about things that you are teaching within the pillars. So here are my pillars. I've got marketing, selling, getting results, teaching, planning, managing. Those are the things that I teach. But within there, within marketing, I talk about your style of marketing, talk about doing the calendar, talk about content batching. Those are coming next week. So those are all the things that I talk about within there. And then within there, I talk about warm, hot, and cold leads. I talk about testimonials, and then we are talking about the copy workshop. And so when you are starting out, these are going to be things that you have learned from other people. And just like what I say, I'm like, take everything that I'm teaching you, feel free to use it. Like, I don't think it's not going to hurt me. I think it's wonderful. I think I deliver my information in a different way than you would. So whatever you are gleaning and learning, use that. It doesn't need to be something perfect and unique. And I've heard that from all the coaches that I work with. So Brooke CEO says that, Stacy says that, like whatever you learn from other people, feel free to add that to your programs. And then that's the first thing that you'll do. It'll typically be things that like you're carbon copying, like maybe it's like just something you read in a book. Then you're going to take things that you've learned and you're going to make it your own a little. So I still teach Monday hour one, and you're going to learn about that later. But I also took a variation of Monday hour one and I made it monthly hour one. And that's something unique to my program that no one else is teaching right now until you guys learn it, and then feel free to teach it to your people. But it's like that's something that I created. I was like, oh, it's just a little variation of that. But then you're going to take little things that you've implemented and they're going to take those variations and then you're going to like give them your own name. And that's what we were doing with a lot of your programs is you already kind of have some of that it's called intellectual property. And that's something that differentiates you and helps you grow. Like the weekly tracker that we do, that's something different. No one else in the industry is doing that right now. And that's something that I created and figured out how to do that tracking. No one else has done that that I know of in the industry. And there's something that I created on my own. And so that's going to start to become your like difference in the industry. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is you are going to like start building out those things, but you only need like one subtopic and one subcategory in each of your pillars. You do not need to have as many as I have, but just have like a couple things that you can touch on and it will grow. And again, all you have to do is insert row above, and then that will add another category column, and then you'll be able to add it. So within that, you also want to be planning your webinar. The way that you do it is I want you to pick a date mid-January. Okay. Everyone's going to pick a date. I like to do mine on Wednesdays because I feel like at least it's like the Monday, Friday, people are usually traveling. So I'm like, okay, everyone's around maybe on a Wednesday. And I like to do it at 7 p.m. because sometimes post dinner. And that's the reasoning I chose. Everyone can feel free to do their webinars at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. Totally fine with me. Okay. Now, just like with the consult, give yourself an hour before to prep, to get yourself in the mindset. I can help people run through it, and a full hour after. And then, like I mentioned, we're going to do a 1 week of marketing before. You're going to do it on the second week. Then you're going to have 2 weeks after to really solidify people. Okay. 1 week prior, do it during the second week. And if there are questions in the chat, I actually can't see the chat for some reason. So I'm just going to get to that in just a second. Boom. Okay. So here's a protocol that I like to do. Now, this isn't technically a month before. It's like 2 weeks-ish before. But you want to decide the dates, typically a month in advance. Then we're going to make the marketing calendar next week. That's going to set you up so the webinar aligns with it. And then we're going to do 3 posts prior to the webinar that are going to seed the webinar. Seeding means that you're telling people about it. It's just 3. And then you're going to reach out to everyone on that outreach list about it a month before. And everyone, this is what I've had you do for the past 2 weeks. It's just to build a relationship, not to talk about the webinar. You just want to be talking to them. You do not want to be like, hey, and here's the webinar right away. I've made that mistake many times and I feel really bad. You can see people that I had on my outreach list, and I just don't want you guys to do this ahead of time. But like, there are people who I have on my lead generator list where I literally like went back and I was doing a webinar, and like I literally like, I think poor Alex Gizzy, like she's one of my best friends. We grew up next to each other. We got drinks one night and she talked to me about coaching for like 2 hours. And so I literally like she just had a baby. Like she's got other shit going on in her life. And the past 5 messages to her, I looked back and it was like, hey, by the way, a webinar, 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 by the way, a webinar. Do you think that she thinks I actually give a shit about her as a person? No. So I'm going to give Alex Gizzy a formal apology, and I love her dearly, and like let her know that I care about more than just her to join my business. And that's the point of doing outreach. you actually care about these people. It's not just about them signing up to work with you. And then what you're going to do is I'm going to show you the webinar script. You're going to make the slides, present it to someone, even if it's just to yourself or like your dog, like someone, because when you present it once and go through it all the way through, it's going to make a huge difference. And then you're going to need to make changes. Just go through it at least once before. You don't need to practice it 15 times, my personal opinion. And then make worksheets to follow along, an editable Google template and a printable PDF. Then a week before, you're going to make Canvas. So you're going to make the Canvas for the Facebook group. You're going to Facebook event, LinkedIn event, if you want, a YouTube thumbnail event cover, and Canva for Instagram and your email list. The week before, you're going to change the pop-up statement on your website to sign up. And you can do this more if you want to do it like 2 weeks in advance. You can do that now if you want. But it's like, in this webinar, you will learn, and you'll have 3 bullet points to join the training, become instantly registered, get the link, and start making decisions with ease. This is literally the blurb that I used on my website for my pop-up. And I'm thinking Sydney taught you guys how to do. Give me a thumbs up. She taught you guys how to do a pop-up, yes? Okay, I will teach. She said that she made a video for you, and I didn't know what the video was. I think that's the video. So you're going to learn how to make a website pop-up, fun fact. And then you're going to make a LinkedIn Facebook event if you want, schedule emails. And there are 4 emails that I'm literally giving you the exact words that I use. Feel free to copy it. And then you're going to add that to your link tree. You're going to message everyone on the list that you already have a relationship with. Hey, by the way, I'm doing this webinar. Hey, by the way, I'm doing this webinar. And then that's when you can do the generic one that you could do copy paste. And then you're going to add everyone to the intro or this week's email. So everyone that signs up is either going to be like, and I'll show you what those look like. They're either going to get these 2 messages before they do the hour before. And after the webinar, you're going to evaluate it. I'm talking about the giveaway, Shayna, in this one. So you're going to send your free coaching session link to anyone who needs it. Change the pop-up back to the original free coaching with me. If you're looking for fulfillment in your life and career, I've got you. My Facebook group will help you manage your mind so you can enjoy what you do. My freebie I would recommend to all of you is the Facebook group versus your email list. And then change the webinar registration. Okay. I know there are probably a million questions. I promise I'm going to get to them. That's why I preface, we're going to spend a lot of time more in the questions and in this, but I want to just get through this really quick, and I promise I'll answer them. Then when you're doing a webinar, you're going to talk about what the problem is. That's going to be the intro before you introduce why you're the best person to help them. So you're not going to start by being like, hi, I'm Megan, because no one cares. They just want you to help them with their problem. Kindly, no one cares. They don't care until they hear their problem. They'll be like, oh, this girl can help me a lot. Who is she? What does she do? And why is she the best person? We want to build that intrigue first. Then you're going to talk to them about why they're having this problem. Have a very simple process, no more than 3 steps. I like to provide time for implementation on the call, and then how to work with you. It's very simple. You're just going to do intro, problem, solution, how to work with you. That's it. Like, you do not want to complicate it. You do not want to make it anything too jazzy. So that's what we want to do. So the first email is your interest email. And it's like, okay, this is for anyone who signs up for this webinar more than a week before. Here is the email that I send. I'm like, you're in. Here are some resources. By the way, if you want to get I called it a business transformation blueprint. That's your guide. It's like, if you want to do a consult with me, here's the link. If you want to learn more about my website, here is my website. And if you want to learn more about my free Facebook group, here's my free Facebook group. Those are the 3 things that you already have. You already have a link for your consult. You have a link for your website, and you have a link for your free Facebook group. That's why you're going to get them and put them here. Then the second email, the Sunday before, I like to do, or 3 days prior, is here's the webinar. And I literally list like this is what I actually do. I copy and paste what I put in my webinar. I copy and paste that for the problem solution in the program. Very, very simple. And then the third email, you're going to send an hour before. You're going to be like, hey, what to expect? Here's the Zoom link. Here's a link to sign up for a consult, what to expect, and then hit reply if you have questions. And the fourth email is a little longer. And this is where you say, hey, get ready. The documents from this program, the documents and or slides you're going to get, but it's at the very bottom. Here's the presentation and recording. So before they get to the recording and they get to the replay and all that good stuff, you want to be like, hey, sign up, sign up, sign up. Here's a consult call. Here's a testimonial. Also, here's a replay. Do you see how it's like designed to be like, I really want you to sign up for a consult after this. It's very important. That's why you're going to do the emails. And then you want to add the email. Anyone you get an email for this webinar, you want to obviously add to your outreach tracker. So this is some helpful tech. Again, I told you, I was like, this is going to be a fire hose of information. So I'm proud of you guys. I'm not seeing anyone having like a complete meltdown. So you're doing great. I promise you're going to have time to implement this. But this is where you're going to learn how to, your Lightbox, that's the Lightbox is the pop-up. So that's where you're going to change it to join your Facebook group. That's something that Sydney's going to send you guys the email about. You're going to, the QR code. I like to put the QR code all over my email, all over my presentation. I think it's helpful for people to be able to sign up throughout. Slido is where you can do a poll within there. It's free. And you can do 3 questions. You can add it to your Chrome. And I have videos of how to do that. Slides Go is how I got this nice jazzy Google slide template. I would highly recommend doing Google Slides versus a PowerPoint presentation, because if you make any edits to a Google slide and you put it on your website, it changes it automatically. If you do a PowerPoint, you're going to have to go back in and change that link every single time, and it's very tedious. Email labels. So this is something I had made a video presenting this for you guys, and it got taken down because I actually used your emails, and they were like, that is invasion of privacy. And I was like, oh, you're right. Thank you, Gmail. So if you don't want to make an email list, I heard that, again, I only heard the first 5 minutes, but I heard her talking about MailChimp. Again, my goal is for you guys to make it for free. So I don't want you guys to have to spend any unnecessary money, even if it's $30. But what you can do is you can just copy people's emails into a label, and then you can send them from your Gmail. And then WiseStamp is just something to make a nice email signature, like you guys have seen from me, where it says like Megan Wing Coaching, and it's got my QR code and book a consult button. So this is an example of Slido. If you do the Slido and it's not active right now, but you can see that this is something that I did for a presentation. And it's just cool to see that you can do a PowerPoint and you can have people interacting with it while you do it. It's pretty neat. And if you want to see all of my old presentations, if you want to be like, what does Megan's presentations look like? It's under this webinars tab. And then real quick, the evaluation is really what you do every week is like, what are your 5 wins? What could be, what worked? What could be improved? What can you do differently? And then if it's a webinar I want to do again, I make the changes when I evaluate it. So I don't forget. And I do that in the hour after my webinar. So you do this in the hour right after you do the webinar. You're going to want to respond to people. You're going to want to freak out. Take your time to evaluate. And then what we're going to be doing next week is I want you to make sure your testimonials are ready. So it looks like some of you guys, I saw in the text that you got some Google reviews. Great. We want to have those testimonials ready, at least 4 ready for the marketing calendar. We're also going to be doing content batching. So you guys are going to learn how to do some content batching next week. So be ready. You're going to save trending audio for 8 reels. So the way you send see if an audio is trending, you go into your Instagram and you're going to be saving just like songs that people use. So if you look on reels that people use, you can do a trending song. You can save it. If you don't know how to save audio, I will do a screen recording and I'll post that for you guys. I'll actually do that when you guys are working. Then I want you guys to be filling out those idea documents. I want you guys thinking about what you're doing for next week. And then you're going to bring 8 shirts for next week to make quick changes. So we're going to make 8 reels in 30 minutes. It's going to be super fast. It's gonna, but I'm getting you out of your comfort zone. That's why you hired me. And you're going to just be batching it out. And we're just gonna like, you're just gonna change your earrings. You're gonna maybe put your hair in a ponytail, put your hair in a bun. That's it. You're gonna get all of your marketing done for all of January next week. It's gonna be awesome. So if you haven't, you're just gonna submit, and actually just submit your weekly form. A lot of people have not been doing that. So, and create your pillar breakdown over the next couple of weeks. But you do not have to have your webinar done by next week. You do not have to have the slides perfect. You just need to have the webinar done by the time you do the webinar. I would recommend at least a couple of days before, so you don't have a panic attack. That's all. Okay. I see a lot of questions in the chat, I'm sure. Actually, I don't see them. Okay. So I'm going to go through this really quick. Okay. Quick hits. Love that, Demetria. Yep. Thought leader. Sydney's video. Sydney's video is, and yep, Dorit, it's okay if you're feeling behind and overwhelmed. That's the goal of this, is to get you to know a lot of information. And we want to make sure that you understand all the pieces. And then we've got an entire month where you're not going to learn anything. This is only 16 systems for a reason. The last 4 months, or the last 4 sessions, is just me coaching you for 2 weeks, for 2 hours every week. So the goal is to give you a lot of information at once. And then we're going to spend a whole month getting you guys regulated. So you don't need to have all this perfect right now. But the goal is to make sure that you know everything so you have better questions to ask. Google Doc. No, don't know if she shared it. I can ask her for it. ConvertKit, awesome. Love email list, free resources. Last resource, I got it all right here. You're not screwed if you didn't do a Facebook group. You can just think of a different freebie if you want to do it. Here's all the resources: Slido, SlidesGo, Canva, my old presentations, how to share it in a document, and how to do a Wise stamp. And then for your webinars, this is the concept breakdown, webinar script, email protocol, webinar evaluation, and every single email that I send, if you want to copy them exactly. Okay. Now, if you guys want to get started doing all I want you to do is just this teaching concepts underneath week 7 under system. You'll see it says concept breakdown. That's the only thing that I want you focusing on. And I'm not going to have you submit it to me because it's just too many documents. But that's the only thing that you're going to do is this concept breakdown. You're going to have your pillars and a subtopic if possible, a subcategory. And I just want you to choose whatever subcategory you do. I just want you to give me the date and time of your webinar. Okay. So that's the only thing that you're choosing today. And if you want to push your webinar back to February to allow your nervous system to chill out a little, that's fine too. I just told everyone when you joined this group that you'd be launching in January, and I wanted to deliver for that. So if you want to push your webinar back to February, take a little time, that's totally fine as well. I'm just going to be setting this group up to launch in January. Are there any questions? Deb.
So you're saying I can create any kind of freebie because I have I'm starting a podcast and I also have a free PDF that I'm going to set up this week. I'm going to launch my website this week. So would that work, or should I rethink this?
I think that could work. So you want to do a freebie that's like sign up. The thing is with a podcast and things like that,
you don't interact.
That's the only piece. But if you're comfortable with that, that's totally fine.
Yeah. Okay. I'll think about it.
Interactiveness, that's why I enjoy the Facebook groups. But again, if you want to do the podcast being your freebie, I think you can track your listeners. It just is harder. When Cam and I did it, it was like really hard to see who was listening. It just gave us very generic things like there's men and some women, and they are somewhere in North America, and they are age 30 through 80. And I was like, well, that's vague.
So what about like a cheat sheet or something like that, where they give you their email? Or
Yeah, that could work. And then
Well,
as long as you do them, like the outreach that we have, as long as you
yeah.
put them in that tracker and you're talking with them, it that's almost like it's just a little bit more you involved Facebook group. So you're interacting with them and it just puts a lot of pressure on you to make sure that you're keeping up with those people. But I don't think it's a bad idea. I think that you, as long as you have time to actually talk with all those people, like 30 minutes a day, I think you're fine.
So Carrie's saying something about doing the podcast on Instagram or Facebook. I don't know. what
I
that-
I don't know if it was like what I see are people like reposting it, but sometimes like people I follow on like some podcasts I listen to, they like split the screen. I've never done this, but I see like they split the screen and you could see the people that like you're talking to. And I don't know if
Oh,
maybe there's a way you could do it live and then track people, but Instagram and I think Facebook now have like little like bite-sized like resource videos. Maybe you can find something on that you could maybe
thank
do that.
you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. I will look into that.
Mhm. And Megan, I do have a question.
Yes. What's up?
And it's kind of like what Dorit said in the chat. So I guess I want to make sure I'm not confusing or I'm clarifying what kind of outreach I'm doing, because I guess I thought I had to do like an outreach that has like an email that said like I reach out to my past clients and say like, hey, I have this new program, kind of like selling it. Hopefully they would be like, yes, I want to sign up for that. And then also like have an outreach for like people that maybe follow me or they're new or they like constantly are interacting with me on Instagram. But I had two questions. Is it too late to do that kind of outreach right now because literally Christmas is like tomorrow? Or and should those have a different feel to them? Like should they be like, let's have a relationship, I'm not trying to sell?
Yes and yes. So it's never too late. Again, if you guys want to push your webinars back to later for you to have time to build those relationships, do your webinar in March. It's like, it doesn't need to be like that kind of like an instant kind of thing. I'm just giving you this information so that you can have it. Within those warm hot leads, like
Right.
there's a person that it's like, these are my old lead trackers, but it was like within my current ones, it's like, these are just people I'm checking in with. And I was like, just checking in with them, talking with them. These are people who I was like, oh, I really need to check in with them before I talk with them about my, I'm doing an annual plan webinar, which is what you guys are learning in week 13 or something like that. But I'm doing that January 4th. So I want to make sure I talk with these people before I talk with them about the webinar. So it's like, you just want to make sure. But I would say I put all the people, like my current clients, people who have done consults, people who have come to my webinars, I have all of them on the same list. So I have all of those people on the same list. So I'm not like specifically like, these are the people who, if they have talked with you enough about their, like if they're just following you, you can still talk with them and have them on this list, on the warm list. I would say this is a warm list versus the outreach list. The outreach are people that you've never met before. This is like where you're like, hey, just saw that you were following them, would like to get to know you. These people are the people that like you are building that relationship, and it has a different tone based on the relationship you already have with them. So like this guy had a consult, we did the consult. He was like, I really, really want to work with you. So now I just check in with him and see how like things are going with him and his business and things like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, does that answer your question? Hopefully.
I guess I still am not clear on like, do I reach, like, should I, should I reach out to like my past clients and tell them like, hey, I have a new program?
I think that's a great idea. That's what I
Okay.
mentioned with Deb at the beginning. She had a bunch of people that like were ready to work with her. And this is a unique situation. Okay. Everyone listen to me now. Do not go and just talk with like everyone in the world and be like, hey, sign up to work with me. But because it is a new offering, I think it's okay and appropriate for everybody. If you want to reach out to your new client, your old clients, past clients, and be like, hey, I created this new program. It's about going through big life changes. I know that we touched on that when we were working together, but now I have a whole program for 5 months based around that. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm doing that. I wanted to see if you were interested. That's where you can go for like the, hey, pretty direct one.
Okay.
Everybody else, keep it nice and cool, like casual.
Okay. And like if you're, I guess if you're like if you've never really like met this person and it's just over like mutual connections, like how do you like not be so direct? Like,
If it's
hey,
just a
dude.
mutual connection, that's where I gave you guys the prompt of being like, hey, so nice to, that was in like last week's, I think. But I was like, hey, just so you know, like nice to meet you. I noticed that we both follow, like it's like that's where you go onto their Instagram and you just like something and you're like, love that shirt or whatever it is. Like something very vague. It's like, where did you get it? That asks a question. And then that's when you come in with the, also, sorry for creeping. Pretty sure we're both following this. I think that we go to yoga together. I think that we have this. I just wanted to let you know, like, you just popped up and I wanted to say hi. And they'll be like, oh, cool. Nice to meet you. And then that's when you can start building a relationship.
Oh, okay. Okay. I might have missed this one. That's like, okay, but this is helpful. Okay, that's
Yeah.
like week 6. Okay, cool. I'll look back.
And so I think I put that prompt in here too at the very beginning. That's when it's like, oh, and this is where like after you talk with them like twice, that's where you can be like, oh, by the way, also like, I don't know if you saw that I am actually a style coach and I help people figure out their style. So I'm doing this webinar thing in January and I feel like it's good, but I was wondering like if you are following this boutique as well, is there anything that you're like looking to like set your style up for success for this new year? Is there anything that you're looking for? And that's how you continue to build a relationship. Okay.
Okay.
So just so everyone can hear that again, first one for the cold leads, these are cold people. These are people that you do not know at all. You're like, hey, love your shirt. Where'd you get it? First one. Oh, hey, I noticed that we both follow this like boutique. I think that's how you came up on my friends. Or it's like, I noticed that you follow this boutique. I love them. Love your style. I'll be like, great, thanks. And like, yeah, no problem. Also, and then you can go depending on like if it's like something that's like generic like that. I'm doing shirt just for you because you do style, just so that everyone knows. So you're not like, oh my God, I love like maybe if they follow a gym and you're trying to talk about working out, like, or they're trying to lose weight, it'd be like, oh my God, like, I love your workout. Like that's really great. I love that we both go to the same gym. Like, do something that's related to your business. Does that make sense? So like I specifically do outreach. I'm like, love your business. I think that's so cool. How did you get started with your business? What kind of things are you going through right now? Oh my God, that's awesome. Why, like finding out why they started this, whatever, where they are at right now and what they're looking to do. And you can do that with general people too. Yeah. Go ahead, Deb. Oh, sorry, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, my thing was off. Is there any strategy? So the only strategy I used was like to go into somebody that I Jody Moore, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't really have a strategy when I was choosing the people other than it was like, oh, they're public. Should I be doing a little more like, does this look like somebody? Okay.
No.
Just click on
No.
random people.
Click on random people. I know it
Okay.
sounds crazy. This is where I'm like, this is where we need to like just trust the universe on Tuesdays and
Okay.
Thursdays.
Okay.
That's where I'm asking for an hour of your week to trust the universe
Yes.
and just putting out good energy and like positivity to some random humans that will never probably follow you ever again.
Because I reached out, I just started feeling guilty. This is so weird, but like I reached out to this one girl and she's a brand new marketing coach.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, I see you do marketing. How long have you been doing it? And I don't know. All of a sudden I felt like she's going to think I'm interested because she started talking about, anyway. So I'm
And
like, great. I got her hopes up. And then I'm not even wanting marketing from her.
And that's okay. And what you could
Okay.
do is you could say like and that's where I think that Amelia said the collaboration, that could be an option for that. So she mentioned in the Facebook or in the Google Classroom, she's talking about like doing collaborations. That also works. And like trying to think of like a couple of these people have actually converted, which is cool. But like most of these people are more so just for you to expand your reach and be like, for me especially, like I'm gonna be doing that in the Coaching Posse. If anyone's familiar with that group, it's just a group of former LCS, or it's like people who have graduated from LCS certification, and I'm just gonna be like talking with people. And even if people don't like reach out to me directly from the Coaching Posse, people are gonna start to know me. They're gonna be like, oh, that Megan girl, she's doing the social media webinar in January for the Coaching Posse. Have you heard of her? Oh, I've like, and like that is how you're just building your reach. It's more so to build your reach and notoriety, not to get direct clients. And if you don't want to do cold outreach ever in your whole life, you do not have to ever. I've just found that when I do it, it works.
Okay.
And that's my goal, is to give you everything that I've done that works. I want to give you. Also, I want you to look at like cold leads are the majority of my humans. I've got 3 hot leads right now that are doing consults. But other than that, and these actually just need to be back to cold. And you just move them. You're like, and I didn't give you guys this this tracker because I thought it was very overwhelming. But yeah, all these people are cold. They're back to cold. And so you'll be like talking about coaching with people and you'll be like, oh my God, wait, this is like maybe a really good fit. And all these people, like we coached together for a month and then he quit. And I was like, okay, now we're back to cold. And this guy was like, I want you maybe in January. I'm like, oh, it's almost January. Are you still interested? So maybe I'll move them up to a little warm. But like, look, most of these people, even the people I'm talking with, are cold. All of them. And so it's about just like building relationships, just talking with people. And again, you do not have to ever do cold outreach if you don't want to. If it feels more comfortable to do the warm, stick with the warm. Just do it for 30 minutes a day is what I would suggest.
30 minutes, just the days that you recommend, and not every day, or every day?
Every day. If you could just do 30 minutes a day.
Okay.
And what I actually was doing on the, because we didn't have Wi-Fi, so I was just doing it on my Google Notes. But I was like trying to find a way to be productive while we were 2 days of seasickness. And one day I just like was getting sick all day. But one of the things I realized is I was like, okay, like this is what I'm doing. Like every single, oh, you can't see it, but I was like every single minute of every day. And I was like, okay, what are the 4 things that I need to do every single day? 30 minutes of coaching myself every day. I must do it. It is critical for me to stay sane and also help other people. The second thing I do every day is outreach. Every single day. Talk to 3 people for 30 minutes, just 10 people. The third thing I do is respond to those people for 30 minutes. I can do that. And the fourth thing that I do is a thought walk, outreach, and post for 30 minutes. And I don't even have that every day. That's only 3 days a week.
Did you say thought block?
I thought I would go on a thought work walk.
Oh, thought walk.
And the people think I'm crazy. And I'm just like talking to myself. Like,
awesome. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Those are the 3 things I do every day. I know if I do those 3 things every day, my business is solid. Also, free holiday guide. Awesome. I love that, Amber. And then that's the same thing like with Deb. Just make sure that you guys are doing that 30 minutes of outreach a day and you guys are golden. Okay. My dear friends, that was a lot. And I realized that we have 3 minutes before I would love to do some live coaching because I've missed you for a whole week. So take a breath, go and grab some tea, grab some water. We're not going to have application time today. And I think I would rather you get the information now than have the application time.